On the night of December 20th, 1987, a passenger ferry crowded with people traveling just days before Christmas entered a dark stretch of sea in the Philippines. Hours later, the water itself was burning. More than 4,300 people would die. Only 26 people from both vessels would survive. It became the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster ever recorded, with nearly 3 times the estimated death toll of the Titanic. Yet outside the Philippines, most people have never heard its name. This is the story of the MV Doña Paz and of how overcrowding, missing records, an unsafe tanker, and a few fatal minutes turned an ordinary voyage into an almost unimaginable catastrophe. The Doña Paz was built in Japan in 1963 under a different name, Himeyuri Maru. It was later sold to the Philippine company Sulpicio Linis and eventually renamed Doña Paz. 8 years before its final voyage, the ferry had already survived a major onboard fire. It was repaired and returned to service. At 6:30 in the morning on December 20th, 1987, the Doña Paz departed from Tacloban, heading toward Manila on its regular inter-island route. It was 5 days before Christmas. Students, workers, parents, and children were traveling home. Bags filled the corridors. Passengers occupied the decks, cabins, and every available space. To those waiting in Manila, this was supposed to be a completely ordinary journey. According to the Coast Guard clearance, the Doña Paz carried 1,493 passengers and 59 crew members. Its registered passenger capacity was 1,518. On paper, the ferry appeared to be operating close to its limit, but the paper did not reflect reality. Many tickets had reportedly been sold off the books. Children and other passengers were not always included in the manifest. Survivor accounts later described people sleeping in corridors and crowded across the decks. A 1999 government report would eventually estimate the total death toll at 4,385 people. Almost 3 times the ferry's registered passenger capacity may have been aboard the 2 vessels. Thousands of people were traveling on a ship whose official documents did not even acknowledge their presence. The previous evening, another vessel had departed from Limay, Bataan. The MT Vector was a small tanker traveling toward Masbate, carrying approximately 8,800 barrels of gasoline and other petroleum products. Later investigations found serious problems surrounding the tanker. Its licenses and permits had expired, and it was not properly manned. At approximately 10:30 that night, the Doña Paz and the Vector approached the same point near Dumali, between Marinduque and Oriental Mindoro. There was no violent storm. Accounts describe a clear night and a choppy sea. 2 vessels were moving through the darkness, and somehow neither managed to avoid the other. Most passengers aboard the Doña Paz were resting when the impact came. There was a violent collision, followed almost immediately by an explosion. The Vector's petroleum cargo ignited. Burning fuel escaped onto the surface, and the fire spread toward the passenger ferry. Within moments, flames surrounded both vessels. Survivors later described the lights aboard the Doña Paz going out as smoke and panic moved through the ship. They reported receiving no effective evacuation instructions, while life jackets were either impossible to find or inaccessible. No member of the Doña Paz crew survived to give a complete account of what happened on the bridge. For thousands of passengers, the available choices became horrifyingly simple: remain aboard a burning ship or jump into an ocean covered in flames. The water offered almost no safety. Burning fuel moved across the waves. Passengers who jumped risked severe burns, toxic smoke, and drowning in complete darkness. Some survivors held onto pieces of debris. Others reportedly used luggage as improvised flotation devices. There were no mobile phones recording what happened. No cameras captured the collision or the moments that followed. What we know comes primarily from the few people who lived through it. Within hours, both vessels had disappeared beneath the surface. The Doña Paz sank into water hundreds of meters deep, taking almost everyone aboard with it. Only a small number of bodies were ever recovered. For thousands of families, there would be no final goodbye, no confirmed location, and in many cases, not even a name on the official passenger list. A passing ferry, the MV Don Claudio, reached the area and found burning debris scattered across the water. Its crew lowered a net and began pulling survivors from the sea. Official court records recognize only 26 survivors from both vessels. 24 were passengers from the Doña Paz. 2 were crew members from the Vector. Every member of the Doña Paz crew died. 26 survivors from a disaster that killed an estimated 4,385 people. Meanwhile, families waiting at Manila's North Harbor slowly realized that the ship they were expecting would never arrive. For many of them, the official manifest could not even confirm whether their relatives had been aboard. The Philippine Board of Marine Inquiry found the Vector, its owner, and its operator responsible for the collision. Court records described the tanker as improperly manned and operating with expired licenses and permits. But the scale of the catastrophe cannot be explained by the collision alone. There was the severe overcrowding, the inaccurate passenger manifest, the reported lack of an organized evacuation, the emergency equipment that survivors said they could not access, and 2 ships carrying thousands of people and highly flammable cargo converging in darkness without avoiding one another. Responsibility was eventually assigned, but because nearly everyone on the bridges of the 2 vessels died, some details of those final minutes may never be known with absolute certainty. In 2019, more than 3 decades after the disaster, an expedition located the wreck of the Doña Paz. The ferry was found upright, approximately 500 meters beneath the surface of the Tablas Strait. The wreck of the Vector was located roughly 2.2 kilometers away. Both ships remain there today, preserved in the darkness. 2 silent wrecks separated on the seafloor, but permanently connected by what happened on the night of December 20th, 1987. The Doña Paz remains the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in recorded history. It was not caused by a single impossible event. It was the result of multiple failures, each making the next one more deadly. Thousands of its passengers were missing from the official manifest. They should not be missing from history. If you want to discover more disasters the world has almost forgotten, subscribe, because some stories disappear only when we stop telling them.